this is kind of how I would introduce myself. I typed it all out on here because I can't remember all this stuff, but I'm going to tell you this because otherwise I don't know that you'll necessarily listen to me. Why would you find me credible? Okay, so here we go. Shane Nurnberg holds degrees in computer science and management information systems. He's been in the technology field since college. Over the past years, his work experience has included graphics design, website development, IP networking, and for the past 6 years, he has immersed himself into the disability realm. That's just the first paragraph. Shane is currently employed at Ralph Family Empowerment in Reading as IT manager. He is also the founder of AutismEpicenter.com, where he has reviewed 50-plus apps specifically developed for children with disabilities. He has been a featured presenter for the Department of Developmental Disabilities, the Office of Special Education Programs, and in May, he led a training on iPads and apps at the Mind Institute here in Sacramento. Shane is the dad of a 9-year-old with autism who uses an iPad and an iPhone as assistive technology on a daily basis. As I like to say, just because it sounds good, and it's true also, we're a family that uses a pod, a pad, and a Pro. That being an iPod Touch, an iPad, and a MacBook Pro. My son uses all of them, although pretty much just video games for the MacBook Pro. Okay, so what I wanted to do, I don't have this really structured because I want to make sure that it's dynamic, and I want you all to kind of guide this. So my idea is that I would start by showing some apps that I've reviewed, that I have personal experience with. You can ask questions, we go from there. Have you heard of TapToTalk? Okay. Previously, I'd reviewed TapToTalk. All of the developers send me free codes for their apps to review on my site because AutismEpicenter.com ranks so well with Google that they want to be on there. So this developer didn't have to give me a code because their app is free. They have the smartest pricing structure on the App Store, not that that matters to you, but their app is free. So they don't have to give Apple their 30% cut that Apple gets of every single sale of apps or in-app purchases. What they do, they give you the app for free, and then you have to pay to use their designer, which is on your computer. So you kind of load it all up on there, and then you sync it with this app. So you can't make any changes in the app itself. And until recently, what the makers of TapToTalk did is they charged you a subscription plan per year. And I hate subscription plans. I don't need another recurring bill. So I knocked them kind of hard on that. But in all honesty, in my review, I also told them that I find the app to be very sufficient. It's a good app. And they recently changed their subscription policy now. So I think it's, you can either pay $179.99, $180, right, for a lifetime use of their designer, or you can pay $99 up front for a year, and then if you decide you're going to use it past that, you pay another $99 and you don't pay anything else. So now that they've changed that, it's a great app now. Okay, you can see on here the basic premise of this is kind of the same as with every augmentative and alternative communication app, right? Every one that's visual anyhow. Let's test this and see if my audio comes through.
Let's go.
Let's turn that down. All right, so I touched one of the pictures and it moved forward into another folder. I'm going to hit home again. See it light up with my finger on it? And I'm going back. I have not customized this whatsoever. This is what you get with the free app. With the designer, you go in there, you can add your own pictures, you can add your own voice, any images that you like. I like that you can't change this app from the iPad. And by the way, this is a universal app, so you can use it on your iPhone. This one ports to everything, in fact. This is the only AAC app I know of that's available for Android, all the handheld Nintendo gaming systems, iPad, iPhone, PC, Windows, Mac, Windows. So let's do that again. Let's try something real quick here.
I'm hungry.
Okay, so I touch that icon, it moves over to the next screen. You heard it say, I'm hungry.
I want some fruit.
See how it's slowly narrowing it down?
Grapes, please.
And that's fully customizable. You don't have to walk through each one of those steps if you want. Perhaps you want it to have just an I want command on the first screen, a picture for I want, you touch that, you can move it over and then just have, maybe you want to narrow down the selection to only 4 different items. Because I know if there was candy on there, my son would be picking that for dinner. And I don't want him doing that. So the things I like most about this app is it's competitively priced now because at about $180 and you get use of it, period. That's about where the higher end augmentative and alternative communication apps are. I also like that fingers, such as my son's, he can't go in there and manipulate it because if there's a button to go into settings, he'll accidentally press it or on purpose. He'll go in there, he'll change things. He might wipe out some photos I put in there for his choices, and then I got a big problem. I don't want to have to customize that whole app again. So it's nice that it does that. You do it on the PC, nothing can be changed on the device. I guess this is a good time as any to talk about why the iPad or the iPhone. They're cool. That's not just my opinion, right? Kind of the consensus. They're cool, they're cost effective, they're portable. Look at a Dynavox, right, for augmentative and alternative communication. Some months ago, I looked online on Dynavox website and the VMAX cost over $8,000. If you buy an iPad, now this isn't to say that the iPad in this app is for everybody, it's not. But if you can go that direction and it works for your child or your student, top of the line iPad, you're looking at, what is it now? A little over, I think it's $928, something right around there. That's the one that has 64 gigs of memory. That's the max you can get right now. It has 3G service, Wi-Fi, of course, they all have that. And then you buy an AAC app, such as TapToTalk, maybe ProLoquo to go. You're looking at $200 to $300 maximum. I know of one AAC app that gets closer to $300. But still, you add that together, plus a protective case, you're looking at under $1,500. And in most cases, you don't need the top-of-the-line iPad. Why am I only talking about the iPad, the iPhone, and that kind of the Apple area? Because the apps are all right now for the Apple devices. Android, their marketplace is building up, but far and away, especially when you're talking about this niche, and this is a narrow niche, we're talking about disabilities, there's not that many available for Android. And Android would be the next closest. Beyond that, HP has a tablet out now. Boy, I was in Costco the other day, and I think Vizio has a tablet out now. There was more than I thought. They are struggling to catch up to Apple because they got such a strong niche right here. I don't have stock in Apple. That's not why I'm talking about their products. It's just that all the apps are on the Apple devices and they have such a head start in this field right now. A social skills app for 9-year-olds, something that helps them make friends, keep friends. In answer to your question, it depends how high functioning he is, because I know of some apps, but in my opinion, they're geared more for teen to young adults on up. I'll show you one, and this is also a good time to demonstrate what an iPhone app looks like on an iPad, because this app is not made for the iPad. but it's loaded on here. Should look more like that. Okay, see, it's in the center of my screen. Now I can hit the little 2x down here in the corner, and it blows it up more, which it's nice to have that little zoom capability. It's still not full screen, and you can't see it up there too well, but it's not taking advantage of the graphics capabilities of the iPad either. This is a high definition display, and when you zoom in on something like that, it's a digital zoom, meaning you're losing clarity. It's getting pixelated. See, for me, this is what it looks like for me. So this one, and that aside, this is called, correct me if I'm wrong, you saw the name, right? S-O with the line over it, S-H. I think that's SOCH. Yeah? So this one, my son is 9. Like I said, he could use help in that area also. This one's way too advanced for him. So I guess it depends how far along your child is. Let's check out a couple things I really like about this. I'm touching the stress balloon down in the corner. I can see uses for this. Somebody that's visual, somebody that is feeling stress, they need a way to express it or to see it visually, right? I like the idea behind this. I think it's really valuable. And the balloon keeps getting bigger. I wish they had a little valve, though, so that when I'm not stressed so much, I can kind of drain the balloon a little bit. They don't have that. And I think if I go out and I go back to it, yeah, the balloon is still there. On the other hand, maybe some people will like what it does when you blow the balloon up all the more. That could also be a visual of what happens when you get so stressed. That's only one part of SOCH. Favorites. The shredder, I love the idea behind the shredder too. Because I can come down here and say, I got bad customer service at Walmart. I hate stores that start with a W. That's the personal issue, but anyway. Okay, so it's up there. And by the way, when I reviewed this app recently, part of my advice to the developer was when it abbreviates a word, you see what it did with Walmart? There's no dash there. If I typed in opportunity, sometimes it would just go OPP on the top and then opportunity on the next one. I said, hey, you guys ought to really, either move the whole word down there or appropriately hyphenate it. So watch. I got bad customer service. I want this to go away. I want it to go away. I don't want to have to think about it anymore. Isn't that a cool thing? There's people that could use that. I just thought that was a cool idea. You can shred and shred and shred your heart's content. And not coincidentally, my son loves to use the real shredder now, so he would probably dig this in some years. This has a lot more features to it also that I could spend the whole time in here just talking about this. Yeah, perhaps some of us have a problem talking too loud. Hope I'm not disturbing everybody in there. But you can see where it gives you an idea how to regulate your voice. It's got a lot of cool little features in there that I think can be real helpful. This is Pictello. You see that it's asking me what content I want to show. It's because on the iPad 1, Pictello worked with a VGA dongle so I could display it. It doesn't need to do this now. I can just hit cancel and show you every single screen on here because this one's an iPad too, both of these are, and every screen is mirrored on these. Sample stories, let's look at them. Let's look at What I Like by Josh Harris on the bottom. This has all kinds of settings in it. I'm not sure how it's set up right now. My son doesn't watch too many social stories.
What I Like by Josh Harris. These are things I like.
Okay, I touch the picture of him to get it to speak the text that's on the page. You can also set it up so it goes through it automatically.
I really like my iPod. It's always with me.
See how they use their own pictures in here? They use random transitions also because that one dropped down.
I like my iMac.
And I'm just swiping my finger on the screen a little bit, or you can touch.
I like visiting my sister's apartment and taking over her computer.
Yeah. Did you hear how it said visiting?
I like visiting my sister's apartment and taking over her computer.
I actually said it a lot better than I thought. It's not good for this example. Because I thought the first time I heard it that it just went right through it. This is part of the sample. I didn't record this one. Those ones that you saw all come stock default with the app itself to kind of give you an idea to guide you. A coworker of mine was going to Hawaii, and she has a teenager with autism. This was his first trip. This was earlier this year. And I told her about the Picto app because she had previously been doing it the old-fashioned way. Take a picture, paste it in a notebook or something, write something on it, flip the page, for helping him with behavior skills. So he'd remember, we're going to have to sit calmly in the airport for a long time, and then you go through security, and then you sit calmly for a long time, and you get on the plane, right? And you sit calmly for a long time again. So she was doing it the old-fashioned way. I told her about this. Okay, so she made a social story app in Picto about Hawaii and going to Hawaii. The island they were going to was Kauai. You can guess how this thing pronounced Kauai. It's not a phonetic word. But one of the things you can do within this app and a lot of the upper echelon augmentative and alternative communication apps, they have pronunciation engines built in. So I showed her how to go in there, type the word, and then underneath of that, type it how it sounds, type it phonetically, which was not an easy task. But it ended up pronouncing it correctly. You could do that with any of the words or names. Let me hit the home button up on top. Goes back here. See across the bottom, we got icons. Let's touch the gears in the far right bottom corner. Gives you an idea of some of the options you have within this app. This might seem a little overwhelming, but once you start using an app like this, and if you use it a lot, you'll find the need for these things. If you just start off, this has a wizard mode, which just guides you through a quick, easy way of throwing together a social story. And then it also has, I don't remember what they call it, but it's a more detailed mode that lets you put in every single thing and really have control. And you want some of these options. You see the pronunciation? I don't have anything in here. They put French fries in here for some reason. See how the top line, French fries, and they have it spelled slightly different. I always thought that French fries was kind of phonetic myself already, but the options are important in here. You have lots of them. Like I said, you can swipe it to turn the page. You can let it go on its own. Let me talk about a new app. The best visual schedule, in my opinion, and I've seen all of them, I believe, for the iPad, is TASUC schedule. Now, TASUC is an acronym for something. I don't recall what it is, so I'm not going to even try to make one up. This one takes advantage of the full screen on the iPad. I love how this is very visual. Everything to do with setup as well as use once you learn it. You can see I don't have any kind of schedule in this right now. My son had been using visual schedules on the iPad like crazy. And then all of a sudden he decided he didn't want to look at them anymore. If I hit the clock in the upper corner, see, it doesn't give me words to tell me where to go. Being a computer person, I can figure out, though, that if I touch that wrench, it's going to take me to the settings. You hear that little, that's not me, that's the app. Comes with default artwork. This app was developed by a Japanese developer. So a lot of the artwork looks Japanese, little boy. This is how intuitive and easy it is to set this up. You can, of course, use your own pictures and voice. I'm going to take a meal, drag it up here. Okay, and then it gives you tips for how to add more icons to it. Because say, perhaps it's not that simple. Maybe take a meal, which personally I would change to something like eat dinner. Maybe it's not that simple. Maybe there's a little process there for your student or for your child that first you have to say, okay, we go wash our hands, then we get up at the table, then we pray, then mom brings your food over, something like that, right? So the nice thing about this, I'm just going to grab any one on here. This doesn't make any kind of sense, right? I'm just grabbing wake up. I want it to be a sub card. And let's grab that other one too, make it a sub card as well. Okay, see the little arrow that now popped up on the top card for take a meal? If I touch that arrow, so you could hide that or reveal it as needed, these sub steps in there. Maybe the next step is something else, maybe a break. There we go, now I have another full step, if you want to call it that. So if I want to, let's touch wake up. Whoop.
Wake up. Wake up.
If I hold it, nope.
Wake up.
Let's get rid of it. Swipe to the left. I'm swiping. There we go. I was swiping incorrectly. So it's easy to change it. It's easy to get rid of things. Just go back and it's there. So that it's the first one to pop up from the screen. I could move the TASC schedule icon. I can grab it, put it over here. This is what it'll do when you go into it. It'll pop up to that one. Maybe I have other schedules in there. I haven't saved any others. It looks like I got rid of them. But what you can do, as soon as you pop it up, you can move these across the bottom, and you could put the one that you're going to use most often. You can put it there first, or you can just touch the other one and it goes straight into the other one. Of course, I don't have one created for it. We're looking for a word pronunciation app, something that would help a younger child. Is called Speech with Milo. There we go. We got some music. You can turn that off if you like, of course. It's got parent instructions built in, therapist instructions. Let's just hit go and I'll demonstrate it so you guys aren't listening to me. Milo's getting a little impatient there. Touch him. touched on Milo just up above him. Whoop. When I talk, you don't get to hear him.
Sleep.
Okay, so this one is more of, it gives you a visual of the word, of the actions. First words. Yeah, all one word, first words. That's the name of this app. My son loves this.
B.
I got my finger on the B. So letter recognition, spelling. If you drag it up onto the wrong letter, kind of has like a reverse magnetism, kind of pushes it away.
U. G. B. U. G. Bug.
How can you hide different apps, different things? That is called restrictions. Suitable name, right? Okay, so for me, I have this folder I put together, right? I arranged all these. I shoved them all up there into what I call utilities. The gears here, settings. I'm telling you that I have it in a folder because on your iPad, you probably don't. So that's the icon you got to look for. I'm going to touch settings. Then I'm on general. See on the far left of the screen? I'm in general and restrictions. My finger's on it. My finger's on it. It just turned blue. Uh-oh. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm touching. Okay, I'm good now. Nobody knows the code. Okay, so restrictions. I have them enabled already. That's why I had to type a code to get in there. When you go in there the first time, it'll say, okay, what 4-digit code do you want to use? Don't forget your 4-digit code, or your restrictions will be on there for a long time. Of course, there are ways to get past that. But so you can see YouTube, second one up top, I'm turning it off. Maybe I don't want them to browse the web. I'll turn that off too. That's Safari. That's the web browser. Maybe I don't want them using the camera. It's giving me a little warning there. No FaceTime without the camera. This is where you would do that. And I got to turn those back on because otherwise later on tonight my son might be using some. So that's how you do that. Settings, make sure you're on general, and then restrictions. You can go in there and you can change things. Say you have an iPhone, an iPad, an iPod Touch, and you want to sync them all to one computer. Okay, if they all have different iTunes accounts, then you can still sync them all to that same computer, but you have to sign in as that with that iTunes account in order to download the updates, in order to do everything that you want to do. If they all have the same iTunes account, like my wife has an iPhone, it's on the same iTunes account. We only have one iTunes account. My son's iPad, it's on the same one. We sync those with the same computer, with the MacBook Pro all the time. No problems. Pro quote to go? Sure. It's the owl in the center of the screen. Yes, it's $189. It's been that way for a while. It doesn't really fluctuate. And remember Picto threw up the same kind of question to me? It's because Pro Quota Go, the makers also make Picto. I'm going to hit cancel because now that doesn't really matter with the iPad 2. But it's nice, if you have an iPad 1, you can also project this. Okay, the thing, you can use your own photos, you can use your own voice, or you can use theirs. I believe all these images, these are called symbol sticks, I think is what they are. You know, because they're kind of like stick figures. I'm going to hit the boxes in the lower left corner over there, just so you get an idea of the different things that this does. Okay, you can set this up. Pro Go is really flexible. There's only, I think I may have reviewed as many as 65 different apps. I don't recall, but of all of them that I've reviewed, I believe there's 6 or 7 of them that I give 5 stars to. Proloquo to Go is one of them because it's so flexible, but it also has a learning curve setting it up. There are other AAC apps that are easier to set up and you could be using them a lot quicker. Proloquo to Go, though, covers the bases. I mean, you can use Proloquo to Go with a very young child who maybe just needs yes and no on the screen and nothing else, but you can also set it up for an adult. It has prediction for the typing, right? This is text-to-speech, TTS. See, there's the, touch that, the, CA. And the more you use it, the more it gets accustomed to the words that you tend to use, and it will suggest those more often. Okay, so that's the text-to-speech. I'm not going to type a whole thing, but see the speak icon, upper right now?
The cat.
The cat. I'm not going to type a whole sentence, but it uses nice,
The cat.
clear voices. You can adjust the speed of the voices. It has a pronunciation engine built in. If you choose to use, well, obviously with text-to-speech, you have to use the built-in voices. Let me go back here. Look at some of the options. Different voices. Ryan, Heather, Tracy.
Hi, I'm Penny, the American English speech synthesis child voice from Acapella. Efficient, fast, and of very high quality. Why not try me out with your own words?
Kenny sounds more like Penny to me. But either way, if I take that, I can go over here and I go, okay, what about speech rate? I kind of want to adjust it up because depending on who you're using this app for, if this is a child and if it's a little girl, you don't want to have a bassy men's voice on it, right? You want to kind of make it to what you would think the person that's using it would sound like. You want that kind of ability. So I can adjust it. I can make her talk extremely
English
fast.
speech synthesis child voice from Acapella. Efficient. Hi, I'm Penny.
Now she's
the
cool.
American English speech. Hi, I'm Penny.
Okay, you get the point. You can make her real melancholy, or you can make her hyperactive. Speech rate, voice personalization. Oh, look at that. We can adjust her and make her deeper, or we can give her a higher voice. What's that called? Deeper. We make her more like a tenor or soprano. So it gives you lots of personalization there. Okay, so, whoops, I exited the whole thing. Let's go back in there. Go back to my options. Let's go back to the grid. You can adjust this grid. You can change the color. You can get rid of the sentence strip bar across the top if you don't want it. You can adjust the background colors to virtually anything. You can decide which icons or images you want up here. You can decide whether or not when you touch it, you want it to say what that is, or maybe you just want it to move back. You want it to go into another folder. Like maybe when you touch the I want, you don't want it to say I want. Maybe you want it to just put it up in the sentence strip so you can begin forming a sentence. And then after you get it complete, you touch the sentence strip and it says that whole sentence all at once, right? Instead of I want grapes, please. Maybe you want it to just, you touch all those things and then you hit it, I want grapes, please. You can fully customize it. Let me talk about a new app. Okay, so we're in Writing Pad. I touch the pencil at the bottom. See it lighting up? Lets me write on there. My son uses a stylus. A stylus is basically just a pen that has conductive foam or a conductive material on the end of it, so you don't have to use your fingers. Some children may need to use their fingers if they can't grip a stylus well. My son uses a stylus. I haven't used this app though in a while because it bugs me after we write something on there and I want to erase something, I find it to be a hassle. If I hit the eraser, it blanks the whole thing, and that's great. And if I take the little pencil with the eraser, it's too much work to get rid of that if I only want to get rid of a small portion of it. And this has no wrist protection. If my son rests his wrist on the screen, the first part of your hand that makes contact with the iPad is going to be the part that it starts writing, or in this case, it's not writing at all. Oh, I must have the eraser. Duh. Go back to the pencil. Okay, so if I rest my wrist on the screen, it gives me problems. And I think this is a 99-cent app. The one that I use for writing, I gave him a stylus last night, and incidentally the school's going to be starting up pretty soon, and I wanted my son to kind of start to get back in the swing of doing homework, and writing is something he needs to work on. What I did was, you know what, I think I actually went into Sketchbook Pro. Yeah. Because Sketchbook Pro doesn't offer the child's paper, you know, the roads, I went into another app, took a screenshot of that, and then imported it into Sketchbook Pro because Sketchbook Pro allows me to do things that the other apps don't. It's also a much more expensive app. I was thinking I'd have my son write some of the common sight words he needs to know. He, she, and, things like that. But I quickly realized that he was much more concerned with writing things that meant something to him. Like his dog's name is Lucy. He was thrilled about that. We did 5 or 6 words, and I said, okay, just one more word. Just want you to write one more. And then he said, Zip, want to write Zip? Zip is our cat, my wife's cat. So I write Zip on there. Then I hand him the iPad and the stylus. He was thrilled to write Zip. He wanted to even do the next one. We have our neighbor 2 doors down has 2 cats, Summer and Zoe. He wanted to write each of those too. So when you have a stylus, there's a number of apps out there that allow you to do that. And I found my son enjoyed that. What was the one over here? Drawing pad, kids drawing pad. Okay, so let me go back. That's what it pops up to. Well, first, my paper isn't there, so I touch the paper, and I can choose. I'm going to flip it way over. Okay, I touch on that paper. It puts it up there for me. Now I'm going to close the drawer by just putting my finger on the drawer and shutting it. Wait a minute, I can't. I need to touch home and go pick my pen. So I touch the pen, and then I can scroll up, and I got a whole bunch of colors to choose from. Let's get that blue. I touch it, then I close the drawer, and now I can write Lucy. That's right, I could put a picture of Lucy up there too. You can put anything as the background. It's kind of handy in that regard. Thank you.
The UC Davis Mind Institute was created in 1998 with a promise to find cures for neurodevelopmental disorders. Every day, our physicians and researchers come closer to fulfilling that promise. Their groundbreaking research on autism, Fragile X syndrome, chromosome 22q11.2 deletion syndrome, ADHD, and other brain disorders are helping children achieve their fullest potential. Please visit our website to find out more about current studies, upcoming events, and how you can help make a difference.